Hello. Today is the 29th day of July, 2021. And my name is Brant Hunt, that is. And I just came in from outside and picked a few tomatoes and just realized it was a lot hotter than I thought it was at 1 o'clock or 1:30, I should say. Now it's almost 2 o'clock just today. Uh, what I wanted to talk to you about and share with you is a book that was done by Frank Joseph. Um, there is a good magazine out there if those of you who want to pursue um, how you've been lied to in the category of what we call ancient American history. And this won't be a long video, but the magazine is Ancient American History Magazine. I have a few copies here. I think I got 2 years worth of subscription with them. And how the Smithsonian Institute and others have covered up what and who have been here. The Smithsonian Institute has covered up many things. Some of these things have been what I would call the giants, the huge skeleton bones that are out there that have been discovered. Um, and they took the bones, and I don't know where they're at. Who knows? Because it goes against their theory of history. And it goes against what we would call the Columbus must have discovered America, even though he never even touched America. You see, I would even agree more with John Cabot being the discoverer of America than I would with Christopher Columbus. But it seems as though the Vatican wants us to take their authorized version of their history, that is our history, and cover it up. So Frank Joseph, I'm not going to go long in here, but what Frank Joseph does here, he in this particular book I have, can you see that? The Lost Colonies of Ancient America. If you have a little bit of money, folks, it's to your benefit to start reading, because eventually this stuff you won't be able to get it anywhere. That's why I buy books. Books are a source. If the internet goes down, that source or whatever, unless you've saved it or printed copies of it, is gone. That's why it's vital for you to have books and that you read them. And I haven't read all my books in here also. Some happen to go back to when I was in college. A lot of them have to do when I was in seminary. And then some are what I would call dealing with all kinds of different issues or interests I've had in my life. So I'm briefly going to share just simply is that there have been more people here, different groups or groups of people than we are led to believe. And those groups are here. And again, I said this is going to be a short video because I've already done a long video today earlier dealing with the whole issue of fiat money and birth certificates. So he speaks about the Samaritans have been here before. He spoke about the Egyptians that have been here. We know that. We know that they actually have settled in what we call southeastern Indiana. There are artifacts there. They've done everything they can do to cover up Harry Hubbard's work. And a gentleman who, I'm trying to think of the name of it, Burroughs, his last name is Burrows. Cave is what it's named after the discoverer. And he basically stole the property in a way. He stole the property, not only in the caves, and he benefited off this. He sold it. He sold all of it. He melted down the gold that was in here, such and such. And approximately what Gary says, it's probably 1.5 tons to 2 tons of gold was there. Who knows? There's probably another area in the cave that probably has more of that. But Gary's been what we call blacklisted by those who want to keep him quiet because he's educated himself and he knows it simply is that the Egyptians came here. And probably the way they came up simply goes is through water. They probably came in to the mouth of the Mississippi River and eventually made their way up and gradually got on another river called the Wabash and eventually led into this what we call a tributary where their cave was located at. And so it's there if somebody wants to go out there and discover it. There was History magazine, History Channel did have someone go there to explore it, but the guy who allowed him on this property actually allowed him to go on there and see it. But it was rainy, it was wet, and it was an excuse for this guy basically not even to even try to go into. It was just a joke. But anyway, I said Gary. I meant to say Harry. Sorry. So back to this whole idea of who has been here. We know the Egyptians have been here. We know there's a cave that the government protects in the Grand Canyon. We know that the Minoans come here. The Phoenicians have come here. We know that the Romans came here. We know that the Celts have come here. We know that even the Hebrews have been here. We know that the Africans have been here, and I don't know if directly here in America, but actually into Mexico. The Japanese have been here. The Chinese and Japanese just simply follow the islands around of southern Alaska into the Pacific and eventually came in. We know that the Chinese have been here, which is what I just spoke of. Japanese did the same thing. We know that the Southeastern Asians have been here. This would probably be the Indians, the Thais, possibly. We know that the Norse, that is the Vikings, have been here. And we've known that the Knights Templars have been here. And even he would proceed to say that even the Christians have been here. Most of these groups that came here, such as the Hebrews, the Christians, were here to escape brutality from those who were trying to kill them. Usually that's the reason why people leave their area simply is there's an opportunity to go to another land and start over, or there is what I would call the threat of being killed, and the only option you have is to leave the country during a dictatorship or a maniac that comes to power. You see. So this is just a short video. I'm not going to go into the readings of this. It's important that simply you get the copy and discover yourself. You don't have to listen to what I say. You just need to dig. You see, you need to set aside a couple $100, and you need to dig in areas where you have interest in. You see, and pursue those things because it's all over the country here. We know that in Oklahoma, that the Vikings got that far. There's Norse alphabet there. You see, we know that at first we thought that the Vikings got just only about the the southern part of Canada, but they're actually gotten further than that. We've also know that simply is that the Indians who were here would trade with others around the world by the copper mines that were located in the upper part of Michigan. In other words, they transport it somehow. So whoever's telling you this stuff that they wasn't sophisticated or whatever, that's baloney. In fact, we're the ones that seem to be thinking we're superior, and I think this simply is that we're far more inferior because we don't know these things and we don't care to know these things because we're modern, we're sophisticated, and we're quote unquote, we have been educated to the point we have an ego to the point of a balloon and think we know it all, and we don't. We surely don't. And there are people who are putting their heads out here and being straightforward to you and telling you the truth. And most of you don't really give a damn. And it's sad to do that. So my encouragement simply is that those out there who want to be the rare bird and want to discover things, they need to dig. dig into books because the books will be burned. For example, let me just say this. I shared this with another friend. I'll share this with you. The school that I go to, University of South Carolina here at Aiken. When I went to school there, it was in the late 70s, 78, 79. And we had what we call journals. These are journals that dealt with archaeological issues, that dealt with economics, dealt with political science, dealt with sociology, psychology, all the math. And all these are journals, and those journals are all gone. All of them. They were all on the first floor, and part of them were actually on the second floor. There's 2 floors with this particular library. When I got there, they just completed 2 major deals. Once was the major classroom building that was there, and that was in 78. And also the library was added another story, so it was 2 stories instead of 1. In fact, when I came there were actually 3 new buildings. I'm wrong here. There was also the Student Activity Center, which is basically the gymnasium that the university had. There was the administration building where at first that was where the classrooms were located in the first and second floors of the building. And then when I got there, the library was the library was already there, but then they added the second floor and then another classroom building there. So, but since then, that's all changed. It's a much larger school. When I was there was only about 1,800 students. All of us were basically what we call transferring in. There was no dorms there at that time. So people came to school and left. They didn't live on campus. That's all changed. The school is now approximately a little over 4,000, maybe a little larger than that. When I went there with books and everything, it was less than $600 a semester, and that was a full load. It was either 12 or 15 hours. I can't recall, but that was 4 to 5 classes per semester. So those prices have jumped tremendously in a semester now. That was a steal back then. We didn't think that was, but now I do think that is. But yes, back to the whole issue of ancient America. I would encourage you to do this. So all those journals are now on computers. You see, they're all on a computer system. The only problem is that, I asked about that as a former student, and I didn't have the prerogative to be able to go on there. I'd have to be a student. So I'd have to pay money in order to do that. You see. So that's a sad story about the university. They should have been able to open that up to past students or alumni. And I was willing to pay for that. I actually paid a fee to use the library to check out books. So I haven't been back there in a couple of years because of all the things that took place last year and this year. And I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm just not going to do that. And so I haven't been back. So I don't know if the books are there. I remember talking to one of the librarians, and my fear was, and I said, so are the books going to be taken on the second floor? She said, I don't know. She said, but there was a vast collection of those books. And my fear simply is they probably were. Who knows? I'd like to go back up there and look, see if they're still there. There was a ton of books, but this is no longer the priority. You see, everything's going to be put on a computer. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem simply is that you need a hard copy, folks. You always need a hard copy. You just always have to have one. And the only way to do that is with a book. And you read it. And you file it away in your mind. And you hold on to it to your library, in your own library, your private library, so to speak, like here, you see. I have a vast interest in many things, economics, naturally politics, political science, foreign affairs, spirituality, even biblical history, all those things. And people say, well, some of that stuff is made up. Well, I would agree. Yes, I'd agree. You're right. There's definitely that taking place because that's what history is. It's his story, you see. But that's all we have. But also we can search that and see what they've said and maybe sometimes realize simply maybe it's the opposite of what they said, you see. So you can really figure it out somewhat and think on your own. So I appreciate you listening to what I shared today. Wish you a good day. Pretty much going to stay inside today. It's a toasty one outside. I did pick a few things out of the garden, so we'll see how that goes. Thank you for listening. I wish you a good day, and you take care.